Hey, welcome to Landscape Rescue. My name's Stuart Moore, and thank you very much for letting me into your home to talk about plants.
I wanted to go on record. This was not my first course of action.
Now today is kind of a special day. It's the day we all look forward to here in the Springfield metro area. It is the 2022 Lawn and Garden Show. Brie Arthur, Brie the Plant Lady, is her handle on YouTube. Hopefully, if I'm lucky, I'll get a chance to go in there and talk to her. I'm gonna watch her seminar. And unfortunately, I didn't know that she does 3 seminars, presentations for the 3 days that the Lawn and Garden Show is happening, and each one is different. So she doesn't do the same thing 3 days in a row, which is a testament to the amount of knowledge she has and the amount of knowledge she wants to share. I'm pretty excited.
You think it's funny to spit on people?
Do you think we went too far, Stuart?
I'm a subscriber to her channel. I just like the things she has to say, and I agree with 95% of the things that I hear her say. And the only reason I'm holding on to the other 5% is because I'm a plant person, and inside I'm super pretentious.
Is pretentious, characterless, and without style.
So let's go see if we can get an interview with Brie. I'm not gonna film her presentation because I don't have her permission, so I'm just gonna kind of like hang out and stand on the sidelines and enjoy myself, and hopefully we get a chance to talk to her. And I'm super excited. I got a lot of really cool questions I want to ask her, and I think you guys will be impressed at my interview style.
I don't think that's possible, is it? Seriously, doubt it, but...
Let's do it. Guys, if you're anywhere on YouTube, you've seen her. If you're going to lawn and garden shows, you've seen her. Brie, thank you very much for talking with me. And you're Brie the Plant Lady?
I'm Brie the Plant Lady.
Okay, so I'm a subscriber of Brie's, but the problem that I run into is I never remember anybody. I'll say, Brie.
It happens.
Like we're best friends and
What? Did we just become best friends? Yep!
YouTube channels are hard sometimes to remember.
So do you run into the fact that like people walk up to you and talk to you like they've known you for a long time?
Well, I'm excited for that to start happening again now that we're seeing people.
Right.
I welcome that. Not as often as I would like.
Well, yeah, because then you're really famous when that happens. Like just random people at Arby's are like talking to you. Yeah, I don't know about that.
For a little while, people were mistaking me for a character on the show Southern Charm. And they would get all excited and say, "Oh, I've seen you on TV." And I'd be like, "Oh, do you watch PBS?" And then their faces would fall in disappointment because it was a gardening show and not a reality show.
Brie is giving, what do we call them, seminars?
Yeah, presentations.
Like, kind of like the Hillbilly version of TED Talks is what we're doing.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
I feel like you would have do good at TED Talk.
I would love to do a TED Talk.
I feel like I was watching a TED Talk. You're kind of a pioneer. Well, you and your mentor kind of pioneering this sort of thing.
Yes.
And I thought it was funny when I was listening to you talk. Like, I've done what you're talking about on complete accident.
A lot of people have.
Yeah, where I'm like, I don't have full sun anywhere. Guess where these 6 tomato plants are going? Right here with the Stargazer lilies, right behind the euonymus, burning bush.
It shows that those ornamental plants that are standard require the same amount of effort and the same cultural conditions as vegetables. So why not combine them? You're going to put forth the same amount of effort.
And it makes a lot of sense. And there's no trimming or anything. Like you just pretty much when they're done fruiting and it's the end of the year, you just kind of pull them out of the ground.
And then you have the backbone of your ornamental landscape to provide the interest. So you never have a space that's totally empty, which also helps with weed reduction and
right, because
disease
you
control.
Cracked me up when you said that we have a love affair in the United States. We have a love affair with mulch, and I do somewhat have a love affair with mulch in the sense that I like what it does for my soil.
Right.
So,
it's great that it breaks down We are kind of in a weird stage where we don't let our plants touch. And I feel like that's reverting to like a 5-year-old's eating habits, where all the food has to be separated.
The 5-year-olds
from the table.
that had to separate their food are now designing landscapes.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's a good parallel.
And
I
it's
like that.
not always the best cultural practice to have everything so far segregated. And open mulch space does equate to higher maintenance. So, because something will grow, whether you plant it there.
Mother Nature hates bare soil.
Exactly.
If Mother Nature actually used the word hate, which I doubt.
Well, I hope not, right?
So we're here. You're here doing the talking, and you did a really good job.
Thanks.
You were funny. You're funny. You're funny.
I'm not funny on my own channel, but in real life.
On my channel, you can be as funny as you want, because that's the only reason they're listening. I promise.
I mean, I try to be funny, but it's weird when you're by yourself. You know.
Oh, they're making Mai Tais over there.
They are. I'm at this
That's what
show.
you were talking about, like you're between the almonds and the rum.
Yeah.
I kept on looking over there for rum.
No,
I'm
in the best spot here.
I kept on ending up talking to the wind chime guy. I'm like, "Where's the booze, bro?"
Where's the rum?
But it's over on that side.
Maui Wowie, and they are amazing. I had 2 yesterday.
Well, yeah,
it was really slow.
They sell beer. They got an entire line dedicated to beer.
Yes, they do.
And then I was like, "Welcome to Missouri." Like,
because I don't recall alcohol being sold at North Carolina home and garden shows, so this is extra special.
Yeah, we'll tie one off here.
Yes.
This is what we'll do. So anyway, so you're doing the talks, and you're doing 3 different topics.
Yes.
Which is really cool that you're not just doing the same thing for 3 days, because you're expecting a different audience. So, like, people could come, hear you on Friday, hear you on Saturday, hear a completely different thing.
Yes.
And then hear you on Sunday. So if you're going to be at their local lawn and garden shows, they can expect the same thing, right?
Absolutely. I have over 50 programs that event planners can choose from, and I tailor everything to be specific for the place that I'm at.
That's important.
Because, of course, what I do in North Carolina doesn't always translate to everywhere.
Sure.
And it's important to give the best information possible.
Because I would, like, if somebody throws me in a zone 8 or 9, I would kind of be lost. I don't know if I would know what to do.
I feel really lucky in that I grew up in zone 4 or 5 and then moved to zone 7, 8. And so I've been able to have experience growing in a lot of different climates.
Yeah.
And then as a plant propagator, and, you know,
Yeah,
a big
that's
part of my
true.
career, a lot of that is learning plant material that can grow in different areas.
Right. Because where you're growing the plants, that's not their permanent home.
Yes.
They get sent off to all over the country, really. Now, so your book, The Foodscape Revolution, this is the first one.
Yes.
This is like the put you on the map kind
It
of
is.
deal. How many, do you know off the top of your head how many you sold? Because you've
Maybe-
sold like 40 since I've been here.
Well, I think about 50,000 have sold since it came out.
Good deal.
So, yeah, it's been it's like a guide for people sometimes just to navigate their homeowner association. That can be a
That's another
huge
thing.
challenge, for people living in new neighborhoods that might be intimidated. And this is just to help make it a little easier.
So part of your history was you were trying to figure out a way to navigate a homeowners association that wasn't allowing anybody to grow vegetables in their front yards.
Yes.
But then nobody had the forethought to realize that the only place to grow vegetables in your neighborhood would be the front yard because of how everybody's house faced.
Right. And we have a lot of trees, and the backyards were forested, and but it was an aggravating experience, but it was a really important one to have gone through, so that I could help give other people advice on this and
I feel like
inform HOAs about some of the dumb things they're doing.
that's a pretty noble way to make money.
Well,
what I'm saying is like a noble thing to make money at, right?
Well,
education,
yeah.
right?
Education, I think that if you have an interest in vegetable gardening, but you live in the suburbs like I do, you should still have the opportunity to take advantage of your land.
Yeah, I clapped when you said that. Like, if I own a house, like, I'm a big deal. Well, and I get into this thing. I don't necessarily think government needs to be involved with my landscaping.
Correct.
So even when I sell plants for a living, and the local city government says you have to have one 2-inch tree in the front yard, one 2-inch tree in the backyard, and an ornamental tree, with no regard with the size of the property.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
So I've got a 45 by 45 foot tall October Glory in the front yard, and another October Glory in the backyard, and an ornamental. It's usually like a weeping redbud, like a ruby, not a ruby falls, they're traveler, something that's
right.
gonna like stay smaller.
Yes.
Weeping pussy willow, weeping Japanese snowbell, or something on the
Right.
corner. Something where, because not everybody, well, especially not landscapers that are doing a builder, so he can get his occupancy permit.
Right.
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 So he's got to have everything's got, all the ducks have to be in a row.
But they're not always good ducks.
Exactly.
Yes.
And ducks are different.
Yes, they are.
Not all ducks
And
are the same
that
size.
equation leads to a really shady landscape
Right.
that might not meet the needs of the homeowner.
Sure. You know, if you do like landscaping, you do like flowers, and you do want, you know, and you were the second owner of the house, and now
Yep.
it's 15 or 20 years down the line. 'Cause
What are you inheriting?
Well, I'm kind of I don't know. Like, I might be inheriting an absolute mess if nobody's trimmed the trees. What if it's an autumn blaze?
Right.
That
Or
needs
what
to
if
be-
it's a Bradford pear?
Right. Well, that's some guns coming down. I
Right.
can tell you, because I have 2 armpits. I don't need one growing in my front yard.
Exactly.
Yeah. What did you say they smelled like?
Rotten fish.
Rotten fish, and then I said they smell like a porta potty at the zoo.
Yes.
Yeah. Like a
Actually,
porta
one
potty
of
for
my
elephants.
neighbors thought their leach field was failing because it
Oh
was.
no, it's just your
it
Bradford
was the
pear
Bradford
blooming.
pears
Yeah.
blooming. Yeah.
Yeah, that's funny. I was sitting in my car one day, and I got my arm out the window, and might have been having a cigar or something. I can't remember what was happening, but I was like waiting someplace, and I was like, "What is that smell? What is that smell?" And I look around, and I was like, "Oh, the Bradford pear.
There it is.
There it is."
The
I was
culprit.
parked right underneath the Bradford pear, so of course it smelled horrible. When I do meet people that it's fun to talk to, nothing ever goes to plan.
Yeah.
Ever.
Well, it feels more authentic this way.
Yeah.
You know,
Okay, so you had a second book,
my passion
Right.
project.
Gardening with Grains.
Yes.
Right. So, I'm bringing it up, and I'll zoom in right there so everybody can see it. So this book was the labor of love. This one put you on the map. This one, now you're
Yes, my publisher.
your publisher. You did good on this one, and then
And
they
they
were like,
let
okay,
me do
now
this
you can have
one.
some fun.
Yes.
Yeah, I feel like sometimes that happens in in the landscaping world too.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
And this is, I know it's a weird topic and it's not something that everybody thinks of, but it's something that I do think is valuable in the sense that grains are really easy to grow. They are a regular part of everyone's diet. Even if you're keto, you're eating meat, those animals have eaten grains. Like, grains are an integrated part of our nutrition. And a really interesting part of it is like, hey, do you drink alcohol? Then you consume grains.
Right.
Just trying to,
Do you use hand sanitizer?
then you use grains. Like, our whole lives are touched by these plants, but home gardeners have very seldom grown them. And I'd
Right.
say, like, rice is probably the plant that people are most intrigued by. And it's really easy to grow. You can grow in a pot with no drainage holes, and
Yeah,
it
it's
looks
pretty
awesome all summer.
Tough. isn't
It's
it?
really tough. It loves to be wet, so you can actually grow it in something that doesn't drain out, and it's beautiful. Birds will be in direct competition for the seeds, just warning everybody. Like, a big lesson I learned in this process was I can just grow my own bird seed by cultivating these plants. So it started off that
So
I
the
was...
rice doesn't choke the little sparrows and they don't die?
It
Like-
doesn't. Actually,
No,
I learned
weird.
in writing this that municipalities didn't like the cleanup process of rice after weddings.
Sure.
And people could slip on it, like it's a tripping hazard.
Right.
So they blamed the birds.
You just think the government's just batting 1,000 and telling us the whole truth?
But birds love rice. So though they do not explode
awesome.
when they eat it. I can say firsthand I've watched thousands of birds devour my rice crops.
Well, you know what was funny? And I think it was my uncle's wedding, and I still have the little rose that
Yes.
had the silk in it, and then inside the rose had bird seed.
Yes.
And you
that
flung it at
threw,
it.
Yeah.
Well, you flung the rose, and then it opened up and let the bird seed out.
Oh, nice.
Well, I don't know. I got it, or my sister's got it from his wedding, and that was a while ago. Like, their daughter's in college now, so it's been a while since he was married. But, and I remember somebody telling me about that is because the rice isn't good for the birds. But apparently that's mistaken.
It is untrue.
See?
Yes.
Landscape rescue, changing lives.
Exactly.
I try to say that in every video to make fun of myself for some useless useless thing I've done.
Any plant you grow will change your life.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
That's good. Were you talking about castor beans at some point?
I do grow a lot of castor beans.
Okay.
I love that I love poisonous plants.
I'm a big daffodil fan for that very
yes,
reason.
animals don't eat it. Castor beans are really good for helping deter voles in the ground that come and eat roots of plants.
Right.
So, and they're beautiful in the summer. You know, they're really tropical looking. They do really well. They're an annual. They're
super
frost
cool.
tolerant.
They're super cool. One of the cooler leaves, I think.
Absolutely.
I mean, because I really like the pumpkin leaf. I
Yes.
think the pumpkin, as just a neat,
It's so
almost
big.
sci-fi leaf to it.
Yeah.
And castor beans, that's right.
Yeah, and they love heat. They love humidity. It's a good plant for the Midwest and Southeast. It's
Now, what about root development? I know kind of we're getting in the weeds on this castor bean stuff, but in relation to, and please stop me if I'm wrong or correct me at any point, because I can always edit that out and make myself look smarter when you correct me.
I already know what the question is, and I'm going to preemptively answer it.
Guess what the question is. Okay.
Okay, so poisonous plants don't translocate their poison. So the parts of the plant are poisonous, but they don't release poison into soil for other plants to absorb. Okay. So I get this question all the time because I intersperse larkspur with my barley. And I do that for the intention of reducing deer browse on the barley.
Right.
The larkspur is highly poisonous, but it does not translocate its poison for the barley to absorb. So the barley is totally safe to eat.
Well, don't you have to go through a pretty specific process to turn
barley into beer?
Well, no, I was talking about what is it? Arsenic? What do you make with castor beans? Something nasty.
Well, castor oil, which of course was used as a laxative. Also punishment for children in the 50s. So aren't you glad that you weren't born then?
No, I drank some earlier before the interview started.
I have no experience.
I put it in my rum thing.
Right. I have no experience actually using castor beans in any context other than horticulturally. So I've never ground the seed down to use it.
I just thought you might know. There's it's not
it's
ricin?
Not. It's ricin. Yes.
That's okay.
Yes.
So it's rat poison.
It is.
Right.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Which makes sense. Which would be a good deterrent. Yeah. I never had any problems growing it. My question was, although I've got a little bit more. It's more mycorrhiza based.
Okay.
Where when we initially inoculate and we're just kind of waiting for that mycorrhiza to colonize to the point where our plants are gonna start seeing some benefits. But
right.
One of the things, cover crop, I really like how you talk about winter wheat and things like that, because that's a good crop to keep your populations alive.
Yes.
You're gonna go and replant, especially when you're dealing with annuals. You gotta have something.
Yes.
Right,
something engaging.
Right, because
yes.
it'll starve. It needs plants to survive.
Yes.
Would the castor bean drive that mycorrhiza deeper like sunflowers do? Because a lot of guys will use sunflowers because they have such a deep root base.
Right.
And that, you were talking to that other customer, or not customer, but I guess they were your customer.
Right.
The passerby was mentioning something, and you said it's a good tiller?
Yes.
Or was that during your show? You
It
said
may
it's
have
like
been
a
both.
rototiller for the soil?
Yes, that the grains do that. With castor beans, it's interesting. They develop a really large taproot, but they aren't actually as deeply rooted as you would think they are.
Okay, because they're so big.
They're enormous. And the taproot is really wide, but it's not necessarily super deep, particularly if you compare it to, say, something like oats, which have, a 48-inch deep root system.
Wow, that's great.
Which, do peas and oats together, you have a complete cover crop. They're nitrogen fixing and feeding mycorrhiza. Just why so many farmers do that combo through the cool season. I have not found that that's the same situation with castor beans.
Well, because I don't know anything about their root base, so I was thinking like, an excuse to grow some castor beans.
You should definitely grow castor beans.
Yeah.
I mean, I can give you like
There's
20 excuses.
So nothing eats the castor
Nothing
beans?
eats castor beans, and nothing, no part of it. Like,
So it's like a daffodil. It's poisonous
all
from
parts of
root
it are
to
poisonous.
stem, right?
Yes.
Huh.
I mean, I always garden with gloves because I've occasionally run into like black widow spiders and
Sure.
stuff. I would definitely say when handling castor beans, you're best to have protection on your skin.
Oh, so, I mean, what's the worst case scenario though? Like, unless you swallow a whole seed, what is it just gonna
I think you'll just get like dermatitis.
Really? It's
yeah,
that strong?
it can be. Some people might be more sensitive. Like, I'm very sensitive to fig sap, and I'll get 3rd-degree burns if fig sap
Jeez
gets on my
Louise.
skin.
Fig sap?
Fig
Makes
sap
your skin fall
makes
off.
my and lasts for like, the scars will be there 14, 15 months. Yeah, so
Well,
I always
yeah.
prune my figs in the winter with long sleeve while the sap
This
is
is
down.
a person that loves plants. If she gets 3rd-degree burns off of a plant and still has it in her
and I
landscape.
still grow them.
Yeah.
Yes. I've just changed my habits
Sure.
to accommodate the plant. Because that's what well-adjusted people do.
Sure, yeah, because plant people are always accused of being well-adjusted.
I have never once claimed to be well-adjusted.
Right. Yeah, and no one would be disappointed. That's kind of what I tell people there in the beginning of when I started my YouTube channel. I always say, look, you might not be impressed, but you won't be disappointed. So, like, I'm not, like, I'm just going to be like,
Didn't I say to set your expectations
you
low?
did say that, and I was like, that's kind of the mantra of my show. Is that I just kind of,
I think that's the mantra to happy life.
Yeah. Definitely dating. That's always a good idea. You're like, at least she had a car.
For the record, I'm not disappointed.